All right, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, whenever it is you tune in. Hope all is well with you guys. So, on the top left of your screen, you have myself. On the top right of my screen, you have.
RIPCLIFF.
On the bottom right of my screen, you have.
Oh, Chapman, how y'all doing today?
And below me, you have.
Abhi.
Yeah, good to have you. You're kind of here off of a circumstantial, but we will accept you. So, glad you can join us. Good thing your audio is working and everything too, because if that wasn't, then
Yeah, we
you wouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
I'm always
So
prepared.
good. All right, so we have everyone in the chat welcoming in. I think we have some problems with Twitch, and I wanted to shout out the only dude that's in the Twitch chat. So, uh, Hobo Joe 58, I see you, and I hope that you can still see us. Um, so I'm gonna put that comment there. We recognize you, and we thank you. So, that being said, we have a scenario to cover up. And if you guys hadn't checked or need a reminder, this is a scenario where we did lose to the 2012 NFC Championship Game to the 49ers. There was a certain crowd at the time that still exists that didn't want Matt Ryan because of that. If that crowd was large enough so that Arthur Blank or anyone else in charge of our roster decisions was aware of that and pandered to that, we might have had to trade him before we even extended him. So, this is the scenario that we all thought of about what path to take from there. So, I'm going to start off by mentioning a couple of things. Now, I'm going to mention the 2013 trade option. So I'm going to have that put up on the screen. So these were. Oh, wait, no, never mind. A lot of things look the same. I'm going to get us ready.
wouldn't be a podcast without tech issues, right?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you're
So
right about
if
that.
we're going to start from here. This was every transaction from March, every trade at least. So in case you need some better vision to see it. So we're taking a look at where we could send Matt Ryan. Now we have this trade involving the 49ers and the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs wanted to get Alex Smith, so they ended up getting him. Now, we could have went this route, but we ended up settling on the next month's transaction list where we see more trades happening because we needed to get a better feel for what the free agency system would look like and everything, because that kind of happened either during or before. So this gives us a clear image of what our teams and what other teams around us would have looked like. And I see that if I kind of help you guys zoom in a little bit more on the screen, that is not what I wanted to do. If I zoom in a little bit more, you can see that the Raiders traded Carson Palmer to the Cardinals. Now, we're not going off of the scenario of us trading Matt Ryan to the Raiders. We're actually thinking about us trading Matt Ryan to the Cardinals since they wanted a person. So, what do we think of that approach?
Well, we were brainstorming, and my thing on that is, I feel like the Cardinals were at a position that they had a fairly good roster at that time that was ready to win, and you have a quarterback that's coming off an NFC Championship game, as opposed to a guy Carson Palmer that I'm pretty sure sat out 2012 because he didn't want to play for the Raiders. So even though they got Carson Palmer cheaper, much cheaper than they would get a Matt Ryan, I feel like they're kind of in like a maybe a Brown situation is now where they're just like, hey, we're just going to put all the chips on the table and go for it. With a quarterback, a young quarterback at this time, because this is Matt Ryan's 5th year at this point, so or sixth year, I guess we go into. So.
Yeah. Rashad?
Well, honestly, I felt like if we did, you know, given the circumstances, yes, the Falcons were coming off a NFC Championship game. Um, we were coming off a situation where, we were like, because back in the day they said that we were like 10 yards away from the Super Bowl. That's what everybody once quoted at that time. And if the fan base, did kind of persuade or convince the front office that something needed to happen, um, Arizona to me, wouldn't be a bad destination for Matt. I feel like he would have been right at home because they got a defense. You had guys like Patrick Peterson and Darnell Dockett on that defense. You actually had a good running game. Um, Offensive line was serviceable to a fault. Um, my thing is the coaching. I still had some reservations from that year, man. Like the coaching was kind of but the rest of the pieces are there. So
I think, didn't Arizona have Bruce Arians at the time?
Yeah.
mm-hmm. They at the time, but even with Bruce at that time, he still had some some of his situational like play calling was like but just imagine a Matt and a Bruce Arians though. I'm like,
I mean, he did some good work for Ben Roethlisberger. He did some good work with Peyton Manning. He did some work with Andrew Luck before he made the move over here. So he was often known as like that quarterback whisperer.
mm-hmm.
For sure, yeah.
So
Another thing I was just gonna add, like, because the Cardinals at this point were kind of in like the Colts situation now, where they got it. They had a veteran guy like Kurt Warner. They were trying to get a young guy like Matt. What's his name? Liner. Matt Liner was supposed to be their franchise guy, but it ended up being that Kurt Warner outplayed him. And so they had a veteran guy that was aging, and then he leaves, and then so they replace him with Palmer, who's another aging guy. Whereas in this scenario, they would be getting a guy coming into his prime years instead. So
okay, so with this question. Because we now have to think about this from the Cardinals' perspective. What do they give up?
At least a first rounder for sure, because I think Matt was like 28 at the time. He's still pretty young.
yeah, I'm thinking multiple first rounders. I mean, you're talking. I mean, we're like I said in this scenario, we don't have a smart front office, which obviously
No.
we have an owner that's siding with these the toxic fans, that because there was a lot of fans at the time that wanted Matt gone back then. So he couldn't win the playoffs. He won the playoff game, but we almost choked that, and he wanted to end, and then we choked the NFC Championship game. We need a a mobile quarterback or whatever whatever the argumentation is. But I think like we would definitely not let go of Matt Ryan for nothing. We would still want return, and I think that there would be enough offers from other teams that would kind of make that possible. So go ahead.
The way I see it, I mean, even if we got those first round picks, like during the Dimitrov era, like I feel like there's been at least like half of our first round picks that just never panned out, especially when they were in the interior. So
yeah, I mean we're gonna go over that, but right now we're just talking about what we get from a trade from Matt Ryan. So I think he would be worth three.
I think at least a couple, three
first, and maybe like a what do you say? No, like a later round pick somewhere in there. Or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, could maybe go like a second.
Mhm.
Because there was an interesting player that kind of dipped a little bit in the 2013 draft that the Cardinals picked up in the third, and that is one Tyrann Mathieu.
Honey Badger, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he
Because I
was
know even at that
selected.
time, yeah, because I know even at that time there was a lot of people that here in Atlanta wanted Tyrann Mathieu. I remember Deion Sanders at one point said, "Oh, the Falcons need to get Tyrann Mathieu, aka the Honey Badger."
Right.
Um, I would say, if the Cardinals at that time were willing to give away, I don't know, maybe two first and a second. To me, that could have helped out the Falcons because given the fact that, we gave up so much after the 2011 draft and we didn't have a first round pick in 2013. So, I mean, I'm sorry, like 2012.
2012, yeah.
So having that extra first, first and an extra first and a second would have helped the team out to me. And then you could have used those two first for something on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball, like a pass rusher or a linebacker. Um, I mean,
Well,
there's so many ways you could have went with those two first.
yeah, we did lose John Abraham, but
Yeah,
this off season that we're talking about. So, uh, that definitely would be
I,
something that.
I
Go
also
ahead.
think that we would have kept. We wouldn't have drafted a center as well because I think Todd
yeah,
McClure retired.
yeah. That's one thing
So
people leave out because the front office kind of drove Mud Duck into retirement, and I felt like if you would have had those two first and a second, you could have been able to keep Mud Duck around, drafted another person on the offensive side of the ball, which could have been a lineman, and on the defense side of the ball, you could have drafted a pass rusher that the team desperately needed. You know, um,
So with this, it would be Mud Duck retired after 2012, so into 2013, and then we drafted Peter Collins actually the year before.
yes,
He was our second round pick. He was our first pick, but in the second round of the 2012 draft. So we already have Peter Collins on the roster, and at this point, we don't know he's terrible. But
all right.
uh,
yeah,
So the 2013 draft, I needed to figure out where Cardinals were. They were seventh on here. So if we take that seventh, now they ended up taking Jonathan Cooper.
mm,
Right after that, there could have been I don't know, Chance Warmack, D. Milliner, Tavon Austin, DJ Fluker, DJ Hayden, Sheldon Richardson, which people want us to have now, Star Latuale. We have Kenny Vaccaro. Oh, look, there's EJ Manuel.
yeah.
Um,
So
No
we have
comment
Jarvis
there.
Jones, Eric Reed, Justin Pugh. That wouldn't have been all that bad, but Kyle Long, he was also pretty decent. You had Tyler Eifert. Oh, look, we took Desmond Trufant, so
yeah.
we wouldn't have had him. Then there's Shirley Ford or Fleet
Oh, we
Floyd,
might
Von
still drafted
Warner.
him. I mean, we still would have that pick, so we would have the 7th and the 22nd pick. So
Oh yeah, you're right. So I think we can still
yeah,
probably keep Trufant.
yeah,
Xavier Rhodes was right afterwards though.
Oh,
Batone Jones, DeAndre Hopkins.
yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
look, Cordell Patterson.
yeah. Um, so
The names that
with
you
the
see.
seventh overall pick, uh, I mean, my thinking is like, do we go quarterback that early, like in this draft? Like, is that where you guys would be leaning, or
a quarterback? No.
yeah, like a quarter,
No.
like where do we? I know how we're talking about before the draft. Like these guys are prospects, so
I just can't. I just feel like EJ Manuel. I mean, hindsight would definitely be a reach at
yeah. Even
that
then,
high.
even then, they were saying that the class was down. So it was kind of like this year where there wasn't like a guy that you thought would be like at the top 10 of the draft. So I mean, we could do it where we take Well, because E.J. Manuel would already be taken, but there's other quarterbacks.
So what if instead of us taking Trufant here, what if we make the reach to get D. Milliner here?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
I know he played for the
Again,
Jets.
not every decision has to be good.
No,
Well,
Yeah.
hindsight, it probably wouldn't have been bad, but
yeah,
he wasn't like
yeah. We're talking
don't
about
think-
a Dimitrov draft, so
Right? Because
that's
this
the thing.
team wanted
Yeah.
a corner. If they had the opportunity to take top 10, they would have wanted to try to take a top 10 talent, or
Which
quote
D. Milner
unquote.
was,
he didn't. His career didn't last long.
Yeah,
No.
We're not looking
we're
at that.
talking-
We're looking
yeah.
at projections of
Right, like I said, we're going back in
Yeah.
time.
Like hindsight.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not. Yeah, we are not taking into account how their career turns out. We're looking at what they were when the draft.
If I remember correctly, I thought didn't D. Milliner get hurt at Alabama? Injuries.
Yeah, but at this point, like I said, that he was still he was considered because they were comparing him. To
Yeah,
all
he
the
was
other-
considered at the time like one of the best cornerbacks coming out for the draft that year. So when you kind of look at it, I mean, if the Falcons were willing to go that route, I don't know. I mean, because let's just say we did draft him here. I felt like he could have had an okay career here because given the fact that when you look at what was going on with the Jets, they didn't really take care of him that much up there.
Yeah.
Plus, yes,
Well-
he had the injuries up there at Alabama, but I will give the Falcons credit on this. During the Thomas Dimitroff era, we still had at that time we still had a good strength and conditioning coach. Still at the time, and even then, we was able to. Our players were a little bit more built for the long haul, but I think that D. Milner would have sustained at least a good run. He would have had a good run. Because at the end of the day, even then, it's all about how your coaching staff is set up, man. How do they take care of their players and how do they develop their players? Because we've said in the past, it's all about player development and how well your players are built for the long run. So
Yeah, like there's a reason as to why Dylan Milner was taken before a guy like Desmond Trufant, who we know actually had a better career. But
mhm.
But we're talking. Yeah, we are taking hindsight out of the equation here, and I kind of agree with Noah. Like this would be a move. Like if we had the number 7 overall pick. We were looking for corner anyways. You got the
Mhm.
top corner, quote unquote, in the draft sitting there on the board. I would
so then
say
now
that would
this
make
brings
sense.
up what would we do at 22?
Now, I will say this: we doubled up with corner in this same draft with our
Yeah, we
first
took
2
Robert
picks.
Alford with the second.
We took Robert Alford with the second pick. So it's not out of the question that we still take Trufant, but there's other options.
There is other options because think about it. A lot of people at that time we also needed a linebacker too because we got rid of I think Stephen Nicholas or
Also,
Mike
Curtis
Griffin.
Lofton left too at some point.
Yeah. And a lot of us were they kind of had us pegged for Alec Ogletree, because
Georgia boy.
we traded up for Trufant. And right there, Alec Ogletree was right there at the spot that the Rams traded down for us. So I mean, Alec Ogletree would have been a good asset to the team because we did need a linebacker that year too.
Here's my thinking though. Trufant was definitely a major want for the coaching staff at that point. That's why we traded up to get him. And even though you got D. Milner, like I said, we drafted Robert Alford later in this draft. So do we instead draft D. Milner and Trufant in the first round and then maybe go a different route with the Alford pick later on?
So I can take a look at the. Hopefully, I can see this second round.
Because that's kind of where I'm leaning, just because we were because I remember at the time we were high on Trufant. Not number 7 overall troop, a troop. But if you could get theoretically in this scenario, like Falcons fans will probably be pretty happy with getting getting the top corner in the draft and then getting another, major corner of the draft that was a coach favorite, kind of thing.
Okay, so now we have this. Okay, so we're gonna go into the second round. Hey, look, there's Manti Te'o.
Yeah,
it's got a documentary about him.
yeah. I mean, and guess what? Think about it. We would be, if we got the second. You said a second round pick, right? So we would be picking up high in the second round.
So let's see where Arizona was. Arizona was right here. They took linebacker Kevin Minter.
We're what pick is it? 45. So
yeah.
You got Kiko Alonso there.
Wait a minute. We cut Michael Turner. I don't think we sign Steven Jackson, but I think that we're in a prime position for Le'Veon Bell.
Oh man, I'm sick to my stomach saying that.
Because if we already took care of, let's say we go with Rashad's route. Let's say we take Alec Ogletree here. Our next, in order to have somewhat of a balanced roster, we need to keep a quarterback comfortable in our system because we don't have a quarterback yet that we're really trusting in. So we need to make sure that some asset of our offense is good, right? We still have Julio. We still have Roddy White. We no longer have Tony G, but Harry Douglas is still there. I think we re-signed like Anton Smith or whatever. It's just Snelling is still there. Rogers, Jacquizz Rogers is still there. But Le'Veon Bell would have been that, quote unquote, bell cow that I think our team would have needed. At least makes more sense than Kiko Alonso.
So just so we keep it straight, did we draft Desmond Trufant or did we draft Ogletree in the first? Because
I do have a question.
We still have 2 second rounders, right?
But if we had gotten Le'Veon Bell, do you think at that time offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter? Do you think we would have leveraged him? Because when we drafted Freeman, he hardly played. He didn't really get that many snaps his first season.
We're not talking about right now at this point how their careers would have shaken.
No.
Are we going to take him? Would we take somebody that?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that if. Oh, okay. Never mind.
You know what I'm saying? We're just at this point we're just picking them. How their career turns out. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But
because I'm thinking a running back was a priority at some point in the offseason for us. Mm-hmm. If we couldn't sign the one that we would have wanted, then running back is going to be higher on our priority list. I don't think it would have been that much of a difference,
right?
Moving forward. So.
I agree. Like I said, I just want to. Are we going with drafting Desmond Trufant or Ogletree with that? Because that's going to change other picks.
Yeah, because like I said, we doubled down with corner. I think we can still take that approach here. So we can still stay here and land Robert Alford instead, and we still take our 2 cornerback quota.
So I think I do remember, in 2013, I felt like we had some interest in Eddie Lacy, though. So I do wonder if we could have taken him.
There was some interest in Eddie Lacy.
Possibly, but if we took Le'Veon Bell here, then there would have been no need for that conversation because considering how far he left.
Yeah, but who would they value more? Like I said, the only reason I say not Alford keep Trufant in the first is just because of how high our coaching staff was on Trufant at the draft and the reason that we traded up. So that was, I know we got D. Milner, but you get what I'm saying though? Would they have preferred getting a Trufant?
Hang on just a moment. We got a new person joining us on the stream.
Okay.
Chauncey.
What's going on? What's going on, man? My bad. I'm tardy to the party, man. I was in a high-speed chase.
All right. So just for a recap of what we're doing, and for anyone else that joined in late after our introduction, so we're playing the scenario. I don't know if you saw the title, but we're playing the scenario if, since we did lose in the 2012 NFC Championship game, there was a rather large crowd that wanted Matt Ryan gone because of that game. If we played and we pandered to that crowd, and we traded Matt Ryan away because they're like, hey, I don't want him. Let's go for another direction. We already see how the fan base is when we take the certain guys that we had now. So we already have an idea of what we would want to try to go for our next quarterback. But our quarterback now, we're saying we trade Matt Ryan over to Arizona. So Arizona, they give us their first and second round pick of the 2013 NFL draft, and that's what we're looking at right now. So in this scenario, we don't have Tony Gonzalez. We don't have a Steven Jackson. We already cut Michael Turner and some of the corners, so we needed a corner. We took care of that situation. We would have needed a linebacker because I don't think that Paul Warlow would have suggested that he won the starting job if we took in someone else in the first round. We needed a running back, so we took care of that one just now. So our first three selections in the 2013 NFL draft would have looked, all right, we have a 7th pick. We took D. Milliner, cornerback from Alabama. Obviously, it's not a good pick, and, looking back, but at the time, that would have been a viable option. Our next pick, we still stay at the 22nd pick. We don't trade up, but instead, we lay low. We are all right, fine. We took our corner. Now let's go back and to address the linebacker position. So we took Alec Ogletree from Georgia. Then, if we wanted to scroll up here a little bit more, we had the 45th pick with the Cardinals draft. And I'm thinking, hey, we valued running back in the draft class, or we valued running back in this offseason. The next running back taken was Le'Veon Bell.
Okay.
So now we're talking about the last pick in the second round just to kind of move things forward. And we're wondering if we still take Robert Alford. So that's to catch everyone up. That's what we're doing.
Okay, so we need another corner. That's what. And was he the next corner? Was he the next corner taken, or what? I don't know.
Yeah, Robert Alford would have been the next corner taken.
Okay, I guess if we follow how you guys been doing it, I mean.
Oh, I shouldn't have scrolled down. Oh no.
Who's down now?
Travis Kelce. Oh. It would have made sense. We didn't have Tony G.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have scrolled down.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew Travis Kelce was going to be Travis Kelce in 2020?
Exactly. But we needed a tight end.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Back then, I hardly knew who that was. So.
Yeah. Thomas Dimitrov wouldn't have been able to find that time.
No. But that just adds to the pain of this scenario.
Yeah, no.
Ooh. But Tyrann Mathieu.
Here's the thing. I don't think they give us that pick.
Yeah, I don't think they give us that pick in a trade either.
I know.
So they would have.
I know we wouldn't have taken Tyrann Mathieu though.
Now we would. Sure. We would have a third. We would have a third round pick here in the scenario if we don't trade up for Trufant, but it would be at the 92nd slot.
Yeah.
Because we traded a third to get in a 6th.
I know.
To get up to pick Trufant. So if we don't do that, we do have a third round. But yeah, because I'm with you. I'm with Noah on that. A lot of teams don't trade third round picks really. And for some reason, I don't know why that's a weird thing, but when they trade for like big blockbuster trades, they don't trade the third round pick a lot.
No, they
like
don't.
Fourth or like sometimes a second. I don't know why they don't draft the third. I'm assuming it's probably because you get a lot of value in the third round. So like if they're like we're going to give up our first round, maybe we keep the third round just because you can find a kind of diamond in the rough kind of thing.
So let me ask you guys something because I'm playing catch up, of course. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're expecting this team to do what?
So
to
yes.
reach what the heights of 2016 for the most part, right?
Essentially, but
yeah,
it takes a while to get there. At the moment, we haven't revealed who our eventual starting quarterback would be. D. Coleman was asking, do we take Carson on the deal as well? Now, Oakland did trade for Matt Flynn, but I don't think that we would necessarily have Carson Palmer. I think Carson might have to go somewhere else.
And I'll lay the rules here. So we're not trying to build a good team trading Matt Ryan or anything. We're going off of a scenario of if we traded Matt Ryan, what would have happened?
Yeah, I get it. I hear what y'all saying because trust me, we all hear the same thing, and all our ears are painful in the ice packs for all the bitching and moaning that they did starting in 2012 about Matt Ryan. So if we bust a move, trade him, I mean, being that we know what happened, we're pretty much. I guess it would be realistic to think that we need to do what we did in 2016, minus 28-3. I mean, does it make sense to think like that, or am I too far ahead?
Yeah, right now we're just talking about like what we would like. We're starting from 2013 and just how like the team would have drafted if we had extra picks and we traded Matt Ryan.
My bad.
Yeah.
I joined y'all in 2012. My bad. I'm all the way at 2016. My bad.
No. We didn't because we extended Brian after the NFC Championship game and gave him a big contract, but we were just going off the scenario of what if we just bought into the toxic fan that wanted him gone and got rid of him.
I do have a question. Was Tyrann Mathieu like graded higher than third round just based on his performance outside of like
his performance? Yes, but we had some off the field issues.
Right. And he didn't play. He didn't play his last season at LSU. He got suspended.
Right. I remember that
for weed. I think it was.
And then like Bruce Arians or whatever, that was the Cardinals thing. Like they would have been like the only team to take a chance on him, so they did.
Right.
I know because I know for sure we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, exactly. Like Arthur Blank, you know how he is about freaking, the clean. Like he wants to, he backed off of it a little bit. Like remember we drafted Prince Shiembo and how that turned out.
Quote unquote. What wasn't that? What was that system they had? The Falcons filter. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
In fairness to Uncle Artie, man, I think he was given reason to be like that. You know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no. We're just talking about like, would we draft a guy like Tyrann Mathieu? And I mean, even if we did have the pick, I don't think that would be the pick. Hey, we could have drafted the guy after him because he ended up on the football team for many years.
Yeah, Buddy Ray Wilson. So here's the perspective of what the 2013 Cardinals would have looked like with Matt Ryan, because this is what the roster would have been, right? So in reality, they had Carson Palmer, age 34. They had Rashad Mendenhall. They had Larry Fitzgerald, obviously. They had Michael Flo, but they drafted in the first round in the 2012 draft. Jim Dre, Rob Hausler, Bradley Sowell, Darren College, Lyle Sindley, Paul Fanica, Rev Winston. Serviceable there, like what Rashad was saying. But it's mostly about this defense. With the defense that included Calais Campbell, Dan Williams, Darnell Dockett, Matt Shaughnessy, Darrell Washington, Carlos Dansby, John Abraham, Patrick Peterson, Gerard Powers, Jeremiah Bell, and then we were just talking about Tyrann Mathieu. So I think that he still stays there. Plays 11 games, has 1 sack, has 2 picks. So we're not going to take that away from them. By the way, quick guesses. I know it's been a while. For those that didn't pay attention here, who remembers the Cardinals record in 2013? Chauncey, Abhi?
Oh, I just looked it up.
I'm dumb. Man, I'm dumb. I'm dumbing in a bag of rocks. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they had a winning season. I just had to look it up.
Yeah, they had a pretty decent.
Yeah, they went 10-6. They were third in the division. I don't know if they made the playoffs here.
I don't think so.
They had a top 10 defense. So
right.
And you got to think too. This is the Legion of Boom Super Bowl year. So how does Matt Ryan being in Arizona change?
He just beat them basically.
Yeah, he just beat them.
If we take a look at their schedule here, I'm pretty sure.
They beat Seattle.
Yeah, right here. Oh, wait, no.
Down
This
there.
game, 17-10.
Yeah, but I mean,
This was at Seattle too.
let's look
Yep.
at the games that Matt Ryan could have maybe made a difference that Carson Palmer would not have.
I think we could have beaten the Saints.
So you have. Well, we're actually talking about the Cardinals.
We're
here.
talking about the Cardinals.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking at.
So here, they had a close game against the Rams, 24-27.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one we might talk about. They.
Oh, and is this Carson Palmer's stats for that game?
Well, this.
And actually, and the thing is, we beat the Rams that year. The Falcons did. So if the Falcons with that team could beat the Rams.
Well, yeah, the
Imagine
Falcons.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Falcons is that if we traded Matt Ryan to the Cardinals, you could go ahead and chalk that up as a well, they already beat. Yeah, they beat us.
Like if the
I remember that game. Yeah, we played like garbage that game. I remember
And
that.
this week one performance, we got to remember this is a divisional matchup. I don't know how close it was between everyone else, but
I think
when it
Matt
got
Ryan would have
down
count for
to-
3 points or 4 points. 4-point swing.
sure,
yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
if
just a matter of
Like if we
the
could
divisional
beat
standings with
if we
everything
can
else.
beat the Rams with the 2013 Falcons team, Matt would have done fine with the Cardinals team in 2013.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Matt with Larry Fitzgerald. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. So I think that's a win. I
This
mean,
one, I
they
think we'll
got
still keep
thumped
their-
because they got thumped by New Orleans. So.
This one I think we'll keep the same. This one will keep the same. Stop popping up for me, please. I'm not trying to
Yeah, I
look
feel
for the measurement.
like
Well, this game would have been interesting.
Yeah, but they
they
still win
beat
that
us,
game.
but yeah,
They beat us
it's
worse.
not really close.
Philly.
Philly, I
Two
stopped.
interceptions though. Do you think Carson or because Carson Palmer looks like he threw for 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions?
I feel like
I think maybe Matt Ryan does the same.
I don't know if he'd throw 2 picks. I feel like Ryan is smarter than
Him
Carson
at
Palmer.
Philly is just weird.
But I mean, the year before we beat Philly, though.
Yeah, we
We
actually
did.
had a decent record against Philly with Matt. I think.
Matt's worst
there was-
game, believe it or not, I know a lot of people, a lot of his naysayers or detractors, they point this out. A lot of his worst games been outdoors in testy weather situation. So you take we talking about playing in Philly
In December,
in December.
Yeah.
And he's
You gotta
from
factor that in.
Philadelphia.
he is, but for some reason he doesn't do all that.
And he
Great.
played at
You want to talk about
Boston.
one of his worst statistical games? I think back of 2018 Week 1.
Yeah, but he's also had really good statistical games that we just lost, like the Green Bay Packers. I remember what year that was, but whenever
I just can't see like him throwing 2 picks against Philly. Like I just feel like he's smarter than Carson Palmer, in my opinion.
Now, yeah, I mean because there was this one.
I'm looking at another game though that Matt Ryan may have made a difference on. Otherwise, the
Yeah.
49ers, the last game of the year.
Yeah,
So I think
I still think they
could've-
would split with. I think they still split with Seattle probably
Right.
that year.
yeah,
I
and
mean-
it was weird because Carson had a terrible game
But let's
against
just say
Seattle,
we
and they
gave
still won.
if we give them two more division games though, because like if they beat St. Louis and then San Francisco
one was
at the
a-
end of the year,
Who
that
was
would
the
be
running
huge.
back for the Cardinals that year?
Rashad Mendenhall.
Okay.
I think they had like
which if
Washington
you remember, he was
Collins
actually
also.
decent early in his career. Like he was.
Oh yeah,
He was
They had a
good.
fullback coming out the backfield that was catching like 90 passes a year.
Yeah. So.
oh
The Cardinals. Oh,
Anthony
if that guy
Sherman or
played
something?
fullback or H-back or something like that, he was catching like 90 passes a year.
You know, I get the feeling we might have swept 49ers because remember, like we almost beat them without Julio, without Roddy, and The Falcons did.
Yeah, I think they would split with him because I don't really think he's going to make a 12-point swing from. I mean, Carson Palmer was a good quarterback. You know, he wasn't great or anything, but
He was serviceable.
He was good. I think the biggest ones, like St. Louis, San Francisco. I think we just change I mean, let's just do it because that's 2 division wins. They get 2 more division wins,
Right.
And so what are they looking at? They're obviously a playoff team. Like you don't go 12-4 and not be a playoff team. But where?
Yeah, some teams have gone 10-6 and not made the playoffs like this one, but
right, where would they
11-5, 12-4? Yeah, that's 2.
Because it doesn't really change Seattle's record. It does change San Francisco.
I think it'll be they'd be the 4th seed at least, probably.
Or 5th.
Well, let's pull up. Can you pull up the playoff seeding right here?
5th seed, right?
Yeah, pull up the playoff seeding, and I'll be able to figure it out.
2013 NFL playoff games or brackets.
Because the Seahawks went 13-3 that year, didn't they?
All right, so this is the bracket. Trying to figure out.
Yeah, because Seattle was the number.
Yeah, Seattle was the 1 seed here.
1 seed, yeah.
New Orleans was a 6 seed.
What's their records? Does it not show the record? I need to. I got to see their records because I got to figure out, given the Cardinals 2 division wins, how that would change the seeding.
Okay, so San Francisco, they were 12-4.
12-4, but they would be 11-5 in this scenario.
Yeah,
and we would have we would have 1 more win than they did because we would be 12-4.
Yeah. So then they slip right here. They would face Green Bay.
Right.
I think we could beat Green Bay.
Yeah, so we would.
Or Cardinals could beat Green Bay.
That makes sense because we would. Because Seattle would still win the division. We would be the first wild card. So we'd be 5. So we would be playing Green Bay. Yeah.
Also, I always feel like Aaron.
Well,
Rodgers...
back then, Green Bay was Green Bay the 4th seed.
Yes,
yes.
They were.
Okay, that means you would have to go to Lambeau.
Right, exactly. Right. So, but remember that was the Colin Kaepernick kiss his bicep, run all over him kind of game.
No, that was.
Yeah, it was.
That was 2012, right?
No. It was both back to back.
Yeah, he won.
Because I remember that. I remember that long run happening in San Francisco.
Oh yeah. That's true. Go ahead.
But I do feel like Aaron Rodgers he always struggles against Arizona for some reason.
Yeah, they had
struggles
that
against
shootout.
NFC West teams just in general.
He struggles against winning teams. We were actually talking about that before.
Right, yeah.
He's not that good against winning teams.
But he went one and done here.
Yeah, I mean he and I mean Colin Kaepernick brought a different dynamic as far as mobility, but he's Colin Kaepernick, so
then they have this
Matt
game
Ryan.
Against
we
Carolina here.
We would have beaten the brakes off of Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, but does he beat Seattle for a second time after playing them 3
They came close to beating Seattle. I think it was a goal line, but the whole Richard Sherman, Michael Crabtree thing.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah. Yeah. Do the Cardinals? I mean, they have a good defense, but do they have that good a defense that would have?
Well, they did beat Seattle in Seattle last game, so it's
right,
it's
and that was after Carson Palmer threw 4 picks.
Yeah, it's a toss up.
Yeah. Do we give them the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl appearance.
If they show up here, they don't stand a chance against Denver.
Yeah, because I think Denver would. Yeah, because that defense would definitely not do what the Seattle defense did to.
No.
So I would think that there would be
I feel I feel like when Peyton
That was
Manning,
the best passing offense imaginable.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
feel like
I don't
every
know.
time Manning plays in like the Super Bowl, like he just struggles for some reason.
Yeah, but I don't think what the because the biggest thing in that game, and people don't talk about it a lot, but Cam Chancellor was the reason that happened, because he made sure that those little damn timing routes over the middle that they were given to like Demaryius Thomas and stuff wasn't happening. He had like a huge hit in that game that kind of changed the demeanor of how Demaryius Thomas like approached the game, rest of the way.
Yeah,
And
him
just,
and Wes Welker, like they thrived on like in the middle of the field and whatnot. So if Cam
Plus there was
Chancellor,
just so many
Bobby Wagner,
freak
they
things
take
that
that
happened
option
there.
away.
They had a kick return for a damn touchdown after
Yeah.
halftime. That just kind of
After
like
they tried to squib it or whatever, they
And they
tried their
had,
best
like-
not to give it to him.
They also had a
You have
pick
the
six.
safety at the very beginning of the game.
The question
Yeah.
You
you
have
got
the
to
tipped interception.
Right.
What were you saying, Chauncey?
No, the question you got to ask is, what was their defense like with holding the lead? Because if you replace Carson Palmer with Matt Ryan, a good chance they probably would have played with the lead a little bit more. So
here's the thing.
The lead. And
Here's the thing. Like I said, there was freak things that happened that game that I don't think would happen again. Like it wouldn't happen in a different scenario. Like they had that botched snap that went for was it safety that they got, and then
Very first play.
Yeah, very first play. I mean, even if you give them that, like I said, I just don't think that as good as the Cardinals' defense is, it's not going to do what Seattle did to that because that offense was crazy good.
I was shocked that Seattle was able to do what they did to that Denver defense.
And Denver had a defense that year too.
And
it wasn't as good.
The reason as to why that safety happened was because they couldn't hear the communication levels all that well, right? Seattle crowd is known for being the loudest, like basically of all time. I don't know if Arizona does that same thing. So does that safety even happen?
Yeah, I don't.
Hold on, are you talking about the Super Bowl? Because the Super Bowl wasn't played in Seattle.
We know that
the Super Bowl was not played in Seattle, but Seattle fans can travel.
Yeah, they traveled to that game.
They made that very first play very difficult because remember they hadn't had their first Super Bowl since like 2005 when they lost off of a very controversial game over against Pittsburgh.
I don't think Arizona beats Denver.
And then you got to look at it. Max Garcia was the center for that Denver offensive line. I mean, when you have a crowd like Seattle, man, I mean, think about it. They wasn't even at CenturyLink Stadium, and they were able to bring a lot of noise to make him snap the ball as Peyton Manning was going through his pre-snap adjustments, man. I mean, it makes you think in hindsight, like, man, like, going against
I think that Denver offense looks a lot different without a Seattle. Like that Seattle defense just like demoralized that offense. Like, and I just don't think the Cardinals would. I mean, they're a good defense, so they would. I'm not saying
I definitely think the game would be closer than.
Oh, it would be a close game, but at that point in time, Matt Ryan or Peyton Manning. I mean, I'm as biased as they could when it comes to Matt Ryan, but. Peyton Manning was on a different level that year.
I get that, but I still feel like I don't know. Like for some reason, like I said, when Peyton Manning plays in a Super Bowl, like he just struggles for some reason.
He might struggle, but here's the thing: the Cardinals' offensive line against Von Miller.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I give it to Denver in this game, just simply because, like, I just don't think Arizona. I don't think they would be ready for that. I mean, they would definitely be. They had some experience because they would have some players like Larry Fitz that was on the team. Back in 2008, 2009, but I don't know. I think that it would be close, but I think Denver would win.
And something else you got to factor in. I'm kind of, y'all got to excuse me, but I'm kind of traditional, kind of old schoolish.
Okay.
I always heard Evander Holyfield say this one phrase: "Styles make fights." Like, what could the Cardinals style with Matt Ryan at quarterback offset Denver style? That's the question.
Also another thing is like the year before, like Matt Ryan came close to a Super Bowl. So this year, like I feel like that motivation would factor in too.
It would. And we're not saying like I said. I just think that because you got to think Peyton Manning had a chip on his shoulder too, because he was just released he was basically everyone thought his career was over, and he went to Denver and lit it up. I just, I think it would be close. I think it'd be like a maybe a 30 to 25, 26, something like that.
Yeah. I was gonna say
Something like that.
24.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like a close game, kind of back and forth. But I think in the end, that Denver offense, as explosive as it was, would be just enough to be a little bit more explosive than a Cardinals offense with Matt Ryan at that time.
Okay. Also, gentlemen, my brain just unfarted. The guy that I was thinking about was Larry Centers. Was he still with the Cardinals then?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I didn't see
this guy. I know the guy used to catch like between 80 to 90 passes a year. With Matt Ryan, I'm pretty sure that number could possibly increase.
Right.
As a check down guy. I'm just brainstorming.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, I think that the Cardinals would definitely. It would definitely have been a much more enjoyable game than what we got with Seattle and Denver. But I just think at this point in their careers, Peyton Manning would just be a little bit like he would, and he had a better offense as a whole than what Matt Ryan would have. Now Matt Ryan would have a good offense.
Oh, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I get it.
So that's where I'm at with it. Now we haven't even talked about what the Falcons do this.
We suck. I mean, no one's really questioning that.
Yeah,
they don't even have a quarterback.
Even if we had like Le'Veon Bell, Julio Jones, Roddy White, if we don't have anyone to throw the ball to, or if we don't have anyone to throw them the ball.
We're tanking. We're probably the number one pick.
So
we're probably the number one pick next year.
So to finish things off, because I want to try to end this in about an hour. So finish things off, let's find a quarterback for the Falcons. All right. Now, we were thinking, because we already talked about the 2013 season, how that goes.
And we have 2 first-rounders in this scenario.
So we would have 2 first-rounders. So
want to be at the very end of the draft, be 30 or 31st. So
we're going to go. I'm going to pull it up here.
And are we in agreement that we probably have the number 1 overall pick that year without a quarterback?
Let's take a look here. 2014 NFL draft results. Okay. Draft listing. Share the screen. There we go. All right.
Well,
so the top quarterback taken here was Blake Bortles.
Are you looking at
I think we know the direction.
This
2014.
We're looking at the draft now, but here's my thing.
Right.
We weren't that good in 2013 with Matt Ryan. We're the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
We
were 4-12, and we ended up at the 6th spot and we took Jake Matthews here, which I think is still a good pick.
But remember how high Dimitrov was on Jadeveon Clowney? Like there was even like rumors that we were going to trade up for Jadeveon Clowney. Before the. I mean,
are you saying that we would have had the number 1 pick?
Yes, I mean we won 4 games with Matt. Like,
Was 14 the year Julio broke his leg?
Yeah,
am I
no,
scared?
13.
13 was.
Okay.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. Well, that would have been this year. That would have been the record, the causation for the
Yeah,
record.
because Houston, they went 2-14.
Yeah, we don't win. We might win one game without. I mean,
Hold on. Who was the right tackle in 2012?
Our right tackle in 2012 was Tyson Clabo.
Do you think we would have given him up if we traded Matt?
He was in his mid-30s at that point.
I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if our offensive line would have been okay if Matt.
Well, because
oh no,
we
wouldn't
don't have
one.
the core. You know, we took a certain center. His name rhymes
Yeah.
with
Peter Cons. No. I know who you're talking
I didn't
about.
want to say it, but
He was injured a lot.
Yeah,
I
he
know,
was,
yeah,
he was
son of
terrible.
Joe
that
There was that too. He was terrible.
Was that Joe Hawley?
Joe Hawley,
Well, that was
no,
Joe Hall. Yeah, that was after. Like, but what we're saying here is, I think we're the number one pick. Because like, if we can only muster up 4 wins with Matt, I know this was the year Roddy got injured, Julio got injured. Maybe that's different.
Well, you know what? Being that Houston was 2-14, let's just say we was the number 2 pick.
I mean,
Say that.
Roddy was old too that time.
Let's see, because the Rams are 7-9, but so they traded to get that point.
Yeah. That was part of the year 2012 draft, I think. Because they have 2 picks. Their actual pick is Aaron Donald. But they traded with the Redskins because the Redskins wanted to trade up to get RG3. So I think.
Oh right.
So that's a RG3. Like, I know it's 2 year, but they traded like a crap ton of picks. Yeah. So, I mean, so if you got us on the second pick, I mean, we could still possibly go Jake Matthews, because I don't think we draft Greg Robinson, but maybe.
I don't think we draft Khalil Mack either. That was
No,
that was talent from Buffalo. You know.
Yeah, I don't think, because like I said, Dimitrov was high on Clowney. If we're the number 1 overall pick,
Yeah, I think
it's
it's
Clowney.
Clowney.
Yeah, but if you give us the second overall pick,
Do we really do worse than Jacksonville though?
we would. I mean, we only won 4 games with Matt.
How many games did Jacksonville win?
If we go in without Matt,
in 2013 was 4-12. They have the same record.
yeah.
Yeah.
If what I'm saying is, if we go
Yeah, I
in
know.
without Matt and then Julio and Roddy gets hurt, like, do we even win a game? I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. Like, do we even win a game?
We got Trey joining us in the chat. So
Yeah, I'd say Clowney would be the pick there.
I think we would be the number 1 overall pick and pick Clowney, but that's
sure.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll take Clowney here, but we still need that quest for the quarterback. So if we had that second first round pick that was offered to us by Arizona,
be 31st pick.
31st pick, right? Who was over here in this section? Boom, Teddy Bridgewater.
And that would be the Atlanta fans' dream quarterback in this draft, because they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, Teddy Bridgewater, he likes."
I have no comment there.
I know. We know how this would turn out. But
I'm going to say it. Long as he black.
yeah, exactly.
Guess what? I'll take the heat off y'all. As long as he black. That's all that matters.
He checks all the boxes of a toxic Atlanta fan.
He's halfway to the Hall of Fame because of that.
Not saying we agree with you, but it's like we definitely have the receipts of people saying that. So
yeah, so I'm with it. So Clowney, and so think about how that. I mean, Clowney had a decent career, but like, you know.
he fed off of JJ Watt, you know.
Yeah,
he fed off of JJ Watt,
and he had injury issues.
Had injury issues.
Mhm.
Over
Yeah.
here in Atlanta, he doesn't have anything.
Yeah, and then so do we keep? I mean, I guess would everything be the same as far as like the rest of the picks? Like, do we still pick Rashad Hageman? Probably, because it's Dimitrov. I remember whenever we drafted Rashad Hageman,
Yeah,
I
'cause
was like,
Higman was
why?
here. But here's the thing, if we move up to like the second pick or the first pick, maybe we don't need to take Rashid.
We could take Marcus Lawrence or Derek.
If we take Clowney, more likely we don't take Hageman.
Yeah,
If we take
Hageman was a
Clowney,
second round pick, right?
we could
Yeah,
double
and,
down.
and we would
edge
be, and we would be the
Lawrence.
number. We would be the first pick in the second round. So I mean, we could get DeMarcus Lawrence.
I mean, we still need.
That makes you be able to double down on pass rushers and give them the fact that when John Abraham broke out, man, like you needed somebody to take over that D position. I mean, having Clowney on one side and then finally having a tag team partner on the other, because I think when you look at it, our biggest issues is that, like, all right, let me put it this way, fellas. Hold on. Let me put it this way.
And that's kind of Dimitrov's strategy.
Yeah,
we doubled down on corner in 2013 in real life. And then we doubled down in offensive line on 2019. So he definitely could. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was just
it's just like really think about this. Like, what has also been like the main issue for this team? Like when I always say the biggest issue has always been up front. Like when you look at our pass rushers, like when you think about it, who has been our Batman and Robin at pass rush? Now, if you were able to get a Clowney with the first overall pick, and then you was able to get DeMarcus Lawrence in the second round, there's your guys right there.
They still
That's
here now.
your Batman Robin.
If we do that, they still here now today, both of them.
Yeah. But we don't have Matt Ryan, and we had Teddy Bridgewater for a while, so I'm not saying that we'd be good. But Teddy Bridgewater
with Le'Veon Bell behind him.
I'm gonna tell you,
we don't have Jake Matthews, but
listen, man. I'm gonna say this now. Bridgewater only issue has been staying healthy now, because to me he's been more than a serviceable quarterback. Or do anybody disagree?
Yeah, no. I mean, he wouldn't be great or anything, but he would definitely be a serviceable guy, and we could in the future kind of.
Didn't he almost lose a leg or something like that? Or
they almost cut his leg off, man.
Yeah,
he had a bad injury.
And does he have those injury issues with us? Probably.
If we don't have Jake Matthews,
do he have that bad injury? Because what happened was he got that injury during training camp. They were going too hard one day in training camp, and he ripped his knee up in training camp. Now,
also behind our offensive line,
we don't have.
We
don't have a left tackle.
I'm not saying he goes.
Get rid of a right tackle.
Yeah,
we would definitely have to build the offensive trenches, but our pass rush is fixed. Our corners are fixed. We have a running back. We have.
Our defense is probably pretty good, actually. Other than does D. Milner have the same career that he did?
I think this is a good stopping point for us right here. If anyone wants us to continue this path down the road, let us know, because we still have some more ideas brewing in the works. But this is interesting. I still want to kind of see what a Teddy Bridgewater, Le'Veon Bell, Julio, Roddy White team would take us. We already talked about the Arizona Cardinals with Matt, so we already kind of dealt with Matt's side of things like that. Yeah, they're still good. They're almost Super Bowl contenders. They're almost Super Bowl winners. So we don't have any problems with that. But let's take a look back at what we have to go on with.
But as far as what about the offensive line though? Because we had Lamar Holmes on the as a right tackle.
Yeah, we're not saying we have a good offensive line, because this draft we probably still have a terrible. But
I felt like
Bridgewater started right away.
I felt like that was more of our problem than anything else.
Yeah.
Arizona, they took Troy Nicholas. Oh my God, the next pick after that was Vontae Adams.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Dimitrov ain't that good to draft that, especially if we had Julio and
I'm
Roddy.
just looking for.
With
I'm trying to look
an
for offensive linemen.
agent Roddy, that wouldn't have been a bad pick, honestly.
No,
No,
but it's Dimitrov though.
it's
Yeah,
Dimitrov.
if it's Dimitrov, we take Jack Muhort.
Yeah.
But at this point, being that we don't take Jake Matthews in this draft, at a certain point, unless we go out there and sign a veteran O-lineman to some mid-level exception type crap.
Now we can think about that. So sure,
Because we would still have our.
I don't have
second
everything
round pick.
ready.
We would still have the Hagman pick because we would have the DeMarcus Lawrence, but we'd also have because we suck. So we'd So we would have a later round pick. So we'd have 60. Would it be 61 or 60? No, it'd be 63. It'd be 63.
Yeah, that would have been Jarvis Landry territory. But then I don't know if we take Justin
Britt
Britt or Billy Turner or Marcus Martin.
Who's the worst one? That would be who Dimitrov would pick.
Desmond Southward. Oh my gosh, that pick. I just have nightmares thinking about that damn pick, man.
That boy played safety, didn't he? Safety.
How long was he with the Falcons? Because I don't know.
2017.
So he was,
I'm surprised we kept him that long.
Oh, we kept him for longer than he
games.
should have. Yeah, we kept him for a lot longer than we should have. But like I said, we probably pick you could really just Billy Turner or whoever, like they're gonna be terrible, and that's who we like to pick. I mean, Lamar Holmes is case.
Oh yeah. R.I.P. to Lewis Nix, man. Yeah, Lewis Nix the third. R.I.P. to him, man. Because at the time he was a lot of people deemed him he was a good pick, but he just didn't pan out in Houston. But R.I.P. to him though, man.
What happened?
He died.
Yeah, he what happened? Did he get in an accident or something? Or
yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, because he was out of he drowned.
And alcohol,
Jeez.
Yeah, he was because he had been out of the league for like a year or so.
What was he out in the ocean, in a lake or something?
No, he was in his apartment. He was found dead. Let me see. Oh no, he's found in a pond near his apartment.
I was ready to say.
Yeah.
That sounds like foul play.
Yeah.
He got some money. What was the personal issues?
Yeah.
All right, moving along. If you guys want a part 2 to this, I can definitely recap everything that we had. I'm still trying to create the compilation of our other discussion of whether or not we had Rex Ryan and whatever that would have done. So I'm still trying to make that video. But yeah, part 2, let us know in the comments or in the chat right now, and we can definitely try to get the same group of guys here, and we'll see what we think about.
All right.
So that being said, closing thoughts. Let's go from top to bottom. RIPCLIFF, what do you got?
I don't have many, but I think, like I said, I think these exercises, I enjoy them because it kind of like puts you in like a retrospective thing and try to see like where these teams went wrong. Where they, there probably is some positives. Like I said, if we trade Matt Ryan, we have a pass rush finally. But you don't have Matt Ryan for.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Russell Wilson trade that they had with Denver. It's like, hey, they traded Russell Wilson so that they can get offensive line.
Yeah, right. So it's obviously trading your franchise quarterback that just got you to an NFC Championship game. That's not a smart move. We're not taking it as like we think this should have happened, but we're just going off of if it did happen. And I think for the most part, it's pretty spot on how this front office would have handled a situation like that.
Yeah, Rashad, what you got?
Well, I can say that these, what if, it's quite interesting. I really have to say it's very interesting because, it's like if one door opens, you're like, wow, okay, if we made this move, this is what happens, or if we made that move, this is what happens. And it's like when you know, make a decision, you're sitting there like, okay, what's the ramifications? Is it good or is it bad? And you know, to kind of look back at all these drafts, especially this draft in particular, you're like, man, you had a lot of good guys in this draft. Some of them, you know, depending on the round, you had good talent. And if the Falcons were in the arena of getting this, you know, some of these guys, who knows where the Falcons would have been.
Yeah. Abhi, what you got?
Yeah, I mean the thing is like we can okay, so like the real reason why people wanted to get trade Matt Ryan after that, it's all for the wrong reasons. And you know, like I don't think anything would have really changed much for the better because I mean, like I said, if Bridgewater was taken, he probably would have been hurt with this behind this offensive line, but they're not going to care, and we know why. Like because before the Matt Ryan era, Michael Vick was hurt every other year. They didn't care. They still showed up to the games. Like at that time, it was all about entertainment, and that's really what the fans want. They just
That is true. That is true. That's what I mean.
like, and I've always said this. Like Matt Ryan's always been he's expected to win. Players like Michael Vick or any other like quote unquote mobile quarterback are just expected to entertain.
If a quarterback only has his legs, then he's useless. The only time that a mobile, like I use this analogy, and I think it's a good analogy, is mobility for a quarterback is like icing on a cake, right?
It is
You
not
can
the
have,
cake.
yeah. If you have a shit cake, no amount of icing, not the best icing in the world, ain't gonna make that cake taste well.
Right.
But if you have a really good cake and no icing, still a good cake.
But yeah, and also
Obviously.
Go ahead.
You know what you got if you got a shit cake? A big old hunk of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but if you have a good cake and then you add icing to it, then it's even better. But you know, if you have a good cake and no icing, you know, you can still have a good cake. But you can't have a shit cake and good icing and have a good cake. You just can't.
And
Chauncey,
also
final
keep in
thoughts?
mind. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You know, actually, this is, to say the least, is interesting. But just in retrospect, that move made, and by the way, I'm gonna be all up for the part two of it. But that move made could be the death knell of this franchise. It could have be the death knell of this franchise. And the reason why I say that is that move made, and Ryan goes to Arizona and picks up where he left off here, and he plays to the level that he played here, and gets to the pinnacle that he got to in 2016, minus a 25-point situation, and we continue to trend downward. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but Artie had a second thought of possibly selling this team somewhere along in them in the early tens, between 2010 and 2014, 15.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
So it could have been a death knell now.
I remember because there was talks of either the team going to LA or the team going to Jacksonville. That's what they were saying. Like,
Now, Artie saved us from going to Jacksonville, because when Jacksonville was talking about getting an expansion team in the early to mid 90s, they was hollering at who them dummies that owned us first, the Smiths. But the Smiths kept sitting on their hands about selling the team to those people. So they went head on and got their own expansion team, the Jaguars. A couple of years later, the Smiths agreed with Artie to buy the Falcons, and the purchase was finalized in 2001 or 2002. So he saved us from going to he saved the franchise from going to Jacksonville in the mid to late 90s. And then about 15 years later, it was the talk about about us being moved to LA. Where the Rams would have stayed in St. Louis and the Falcons was going to LA. Oh, they went head on and agreed to build the Benz. I think that's what happened. I think they agreed to build the Benz, right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
You're correct.
They agreed to build the Benz, and the rest is history.
Because the stadium alone, like the Georgia Dome, not to cut you off or anything, and I know we're pressed for time. Like the Georgia Dome in itself, like was starting to become decrepit because I know a friend that used to work at the Dome. Like for maintenance for the Dome in itself was like $50 million a year.
No, that building they had to get rid of that building, especially after what happened in that SEC basketball championship game where they had to move it to Georgia Tech. You remember what happened?
Yeah, I remember.
The tornado hit that building, and debris fell from the top of the building. Damn near hit one of the benches.
Yeah,
they had to move it to Georgia Tech. You think the SEC wanted to move their conference championship to an ACC building?
No. So they were going to lose. They in a way they lost a hell of a lot of money off that deal that year. So
And as fate has it, guess who won the SEC championship title that year at Georgia Tech?
Oh God, don't get me started. I mean, you can say it. I'm not gonna say it. You can say it.
Man,
yeah.
Hey, that was the best year that the guy who we got from Western Kentucky, Georgia got from Western Kentucky had. Georgia actually I think Georgia came off the deck. They was like the 15th seed, and they somehow, some way, won the SEC championship title. The year that tornado hit the dome, and they won it at Alexander, or it's now McCamish.
All right, so we're gonna end the stream. All right.
My bad. I get long-winded. My bad. I'm sorry. I get long-winded.
No problem. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Again, let us know if you want a part 2 of this, and we'll catch you guys next week.
I appreciate you, bro.